Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start, and we can see how it goes. I'd like to welcome everybody to the deep dive for the Catalina Technology Deep Dive for Dynamics SL's User Group Conference. Unfortunately, we weren't able to make it to Tampa this year due to Hurricane Irma. We know that many of our friends in the Dynamic SL community and family members and others have been affected by the terrible storm, and so we really hope for everyone's safety and quick recovery. This presentation was originally designed to be an interactive, are we recording too, Jeff? Okay, this presentation was originally designed for an interactive deep dive session, so something that I was in person and could go ahead and work and go back and forth. So some of the slides and the transitions aren't really optimized for an online presentation, so hopefully this will all work out. We also have Tim Metzler, our Chief of Development. He's going to be watching for any questions throughout, and we'll pause at different times in the presentation to answer any of these questions. So feel free to ask questions. There's a little question section on the toolbar for the GoToMeeting piece that you can go ahead and deal with. So I'm going to go ahead and go back over to my computer. We're going to switch to slides and then do some demos and things like that. Okay, so here I'm back at my computer. Who am I? My name's Brian Wharton. I'm the founder and president of Catalina Technology. You can see some of my contact information below. I've got my email address, my company Twitter, personal Twitter, and my LinkedIn page. So first of all, I guess what we need to do is figure out what is Catalina Technology, or who are we? Catalina Technology was founded in the year 2000, and basically to fill a need, a gap and need to integrate Dynamics SL with e-commerce shopping carts as well as online bill payment solutions. Since then, we've evolved into a company that integrates Dynamics SL for all types of solutions. We can do this because our original applications for e-commerce and bill payment were built on an API that we wrote. This means that we've been an API first company where, building the integration first, and then we build our applications on top of this. What this allows us to do is it allows us to build and extend our applications to be quicker, faster, and better than normally done on something like, say, Customization Manager. And also because of this, other customers, ISVs, and other implementers have started to use our API for Dynamics SL to build their own systems and ISV solutions on top of SL. So now a little bit about the little graphic at the bottom, which is kind of really what we've evolved into, is that our integration tools. So we do have our own e-commerce platform, but others have integrated e-commerce using our API, so Magento and other shopping cart systems. We've integrated into Helpdesk systems into SL, CRM systems, field service, and IoT, or what's called Internet of Things, and we'll be doing an actual Internet of Things demonstration later on in the presentation. So starting with e-commerce, we've got hundreds of storefronts using our e-commerce system, which is called Order Central. This is a shopping cart system directly connected to Dynamics SL, and this is just a sampling of some of the sites that use Order Central. And hopefully this is one of those transition slides that seem to be a bit strange because it has things swooping and flying, so hopefully it won't get a little too disoriented. So starting with our e-commerce solution, e-commerce solution is called Order Central, and it has real-time integration with Dynamics SL. This means that data is automatically propagated to the shopping cart system that makes sure that you have the most current information between systems such as inventory reduction, sales order creation, quantity available, pricing, and other types of information. It's always up to date. Order Central is a shopping cart that can handle multiple storefronts, meaning that you can open as many different branded stores as you want. We can handle multi-currency, and it can be B2B and or B2C. So if you've got customers that you want to sell direct that are business to business that need to log in and they're tied to an existing customer account in Dynamics SL, that's great. or if you want to be able to also sell to consumers, you can do that as well, and you can do that all simultaneously. We have an advanced cataloging capability that allows you to categorize and organize your products for easily searching and purchasing. And it also allows your customers to be able to log in and look at order history and status along with other account management capabilities. And this is really important when you're trying to reduce cost for customer service. Now your customers can log in and actually do their own customer service themselves. It's all kind of self-help. And as with all of our systems that have online payment, Order Central is PCI compliant. Another one of our systems solutions is called Account Central. This is a customer portal that allows your customers or your sales reps to be able to log in and pay invoices or pay on an account. Your customers can also manage their account information, view statements and balances, configure auto payments, as well as receive quick links for payments. Just a note about quick links. Quick links are ways for you to be able to send out a link to your customer for them to be able to pay one or more invoices without having them to log into a portal. So really what happens is Account Central behind the scenes can send out links to your customers. The customer can just simply click on that link and pay the invoice. What this does is it removes barriers of entry so that your customers can pay quicker and easier without having to register for a portal or remember usernames and passwords. So it just gets you paid faster. So I'm going to go ahead and do an Account Central demo, and let's see how we can move that along. So Account Central allows us to be able to give a user or a sales rep a login to be able to look at information about a customer. So I'm going to first log in as a customer, and once I log in, I can go ahead and look at my account history, and I can see what's going on with my account history. I can go ahead and drill into a particular invoice. This one looks like it was created with invoice and memo, or I can click around, and I should have some that are here, like this one, that was created through order management. So I can see a shipper ID, and if this was actually created from a sales order, I'd also see an order number and that type of thing. And so this is really important too, because regardless of how the invoice got into SL, whether it got in through order management or whether it got in through service or say through project or something like that, we can go ahead and make those invoices available for your customer to be able to look at what the status is as well as be able to pay them. I'm going to log out, and I'm going to log in as a sales rep or a sales support person. And so that's a little bit different of an account in that this person can now go ahead and pay invoices for more than one customer. So if I'm just a customer, most likely I'll have just a single login that connects to a single customer. But in this case, I'm an account rep, and I want to be able to look up my customers, be able to pay their invoices. Say the customer calls and says, I need my invoice paid. Here's my credit card. You could do that. I can go click into that, and then I can go into the account history and do that. So I'm going to go through the process of creating an invoice and go all the way through. So I'm first going to go into invoice and memo. The reason why I'm using invoice and memo is because it's one of the easiest ways to go ahead and create an invoice in SL. So I'm just going to create it for the customer that I'm looking at. And I'm just going to fill in some basic information just to go ahead and get this through. And I'm going to put something in so that I can pick it out. I'm going to put it for $3.33. It comes out to $3.59 with additional things that Dynamics SL put in. 59, 0.59, and I'm just going to go ahead and release this now. So that way it'll make it available to this customer to be able to go ahead and pay. Now this is always the time of waiting, because Dynamics SL sometimes goes ahead and takes a little bit longer on the first time that you call the invoice and memo screen. So we'll see how this goes. So if we had like the game show music, that's probably what we would be playing right now. And as it keeps processing, hopefully the last time I processed it, it took about 24, 25 seconds. There we go, 25 seconds exactly. So I'm just going to go ahead and say OK. So now I'm going to minimize my Dynamics SL screen, and I'm just going to refresh this screen here, and I can see automatically it's out there. And this is also really, really important in that we are directly integrated in real time to Dynamics SL. If you're not, there's often time, if you're synchronizing data on job bases or things like that, you might end up getting a customer accidentally double paying an invoice. And while that might seem like a good thing where you get paid twice, it is a nightmare on the back end to be able to have to go ahead and void out credit cards. And if this happens more than once, and it happens often, then you kind of lose credibility with your customer. So in this case, it's in real time, so that the minute that somebody pays, it's already put back into SL. So I can look at this invoice that I just created and see that. Now this screen, we're looking at a very, very basic system with a basic design. We can make this look and brand it so that it just is seamless with your website and your portal. So what you're seeing here is just a basic system that I have, basic just because of that reason, so we can apply very quickly to what you need. So I could go ahead and pay one or more invoices if I want, and I'm just going to go ahead and pay this one. I'm going to proceed to payment. So now here's a part where I'm going to go ahead and pay. Now, you can go ahead and pay with a card on file, and as I mentioned earlier, we are PCI compliant. So we use, in this solution, we're using a product called PayFabric, which allows us to be able to store what's called a token to credit cards. So we're not actually storing a credit card anywhere on your servers in Dynamics SL or anything like that. We're only storing a token to that. So what we can do here is allow the customer to manage their credit cards, to be able to go ahead and add more credit cards or pay with a quick credit card right away, or even electronic checks where the customer could do ACH or e-checks or something like that. I'm going to go ahead and pay with a brand new credit card, and let's go ahead and click through. And I'm going to then be able to choose, again, from a wallet, or I can go ahead and add a new one. So I could go ahead and do this and put in put that in, and I could save it for later if I wanted to put that in my wallet, not a problem. And I could put this as a default credit card as well. I'm just going to go back again and just use one that's on file just because it's easier. And I'm going to process this transaction for $3.59 for that invoice. So all of this, all that area right there that you saw with the credit card isn't actually even sitting in our system. It's sitting over at PayFabric, so that you don't have to worry about storing any of that information. And once it processes that credit card number, we've got the authorization code, and that's for the $3.59. And now I'm just going to go back into SL, and let me pull up the payment application screen and look for it, and there it is, $3.59. It's there already, so I don't have to worry about anything double paying or anything like that. And I can just click on that. I can see here's the transaction, and it's got a dock balance of 0. Now, there's an important thing to also note here as well. I'm just, while I'm talking, I'm just going to go and release this. But if you look at the batch number, what I've done for this demo is I'm putting every payment in its own little batch just because it's easier for me to demonstrate. But in real life, what we would most likely do is we would create daily batches so that we'd put all the payments into a single batch and then be able to close out that batch at the end of the day. And we could even segment that further, and where we could go ahead and say put American Express in one batch, put say Visa, MasterCard and the others in another batch, and maybe e-check and ACH in a third batch. So what we do is when a payment comes in, we look at what kind of payment type it is, we look at what kind of batch it should go in. If the batch exists, fine, we'll go ahead and use it. And if the batch exists and hasn't been closed out, but if there is no batch to put it in, we'll go ahead and then just create a brand new batch and use that new batch. So now I'm just going to go into customer maintenance and just show the end product on how we see this all the way through. And I just pulled up my customer. I'm looking at my activity. I'm going to include my applications. And there we go. There's my $3.59 with a dock balance of 0. So it made it all the way through without any problem. So now I'm going to go back to my slides, and that's Account Central. And again, if you've got questions, feel free to ask. But I'm going to go back to my slides, and we'll go from there.
And Brian,
yeah,
I know we've had people ask in the past if they could have the website, the shopping catalog, and the payment system on the same server. And I just want to make sure you let them know that they can have all these applications on the same box, on the same website.
Right, yeah, so we can go ahead and, like, say you've got customer and you want to have a customer portal that allows you to both be able to allow a customer to purchase from you through an online shopping cart, and allow them also to look at their account balances and all that and be able to pay their invoice. So we can go ahead and bring that together as a single portal so that you can go and provide a complete comprehensive solution to your customers.
And we've also integrated Account Central with like Salesforce before also. So that data can come straight into Account Central.
That's correct. Definitely. So yeah, those that want to go ahead and be able to take payments in Salesforce.com, that's very simple to go ahead and do using Account Central and embedding it into Salesforce. So, and again, if you've got questions, feel free to go. There's just in the little toolbar thing at the right or wherever it might have put it, to be able to go ahead and see add additional questions, and Tim will go ahead and field those and be able to go ahead and ask those throughout. Okay, so another payment application that we're going to be delivering before the end of the year is a way to take payments through Square. You've probably seen these Square devices. You go to a farmer's market or even to a local pub or something like that. What it does is it allows you to swipe a credit card or use pin and chip on a credit card out in the field for card-present type transactions. So what our system allows you to do is either take a payment on an invoice. So you could have a tablet that's out in the field or even a cell phone and be able to look up an invoice using our application, and then allow hand the device over to the customer and allow them to swipe or pin and chip and be able to pay that invoice. Or if you've got a work order, we can go ahead and look up work orders so that they can go ahead and pay against them. Or if you've got some other form of payment that you need to take against the customer account. So say you need to take a deposit or a down payment before you do some kind of service call, or before you do an installation, we could easily go ahead and do that, and we could then do a payment entry that would then allow you to be able to go ahead and take that down payment or deposit. And the great thing about using a product like Square is that the credit cards are encrypted at that little Square device. So we're never handling the credit card information at all. It just goes straight through out to the Square system, does that authorization, and then we can go ahead and process it. Yet another one of our products is called Sales Central. Now, Sales Central is an order management solution that allows you to capture sales orders and manage your customers through a web-based application. This means that you can use this in your call center, in your office, or even out in the field on a PC, Mac, laptop, or even on your phone. So note, I mentioned Order Central earlier, but this is different than Order Central, where Order Central is a shopping cart system that is used by your customer to generate orders and manage their accounts. But Sales Central is optimized for your sales and sales support to be able to take orders for their customers. So, where Order Central is more for, I've got a user and I'm only purchasing for one customer, where Sales Central allows me to really replace the order management screen with a web-based solution. And hopefully my transitions on this were okay, but I think there was a tablet, a phone, a laptop, and a MacBook. So really it can go ahead and go across all different types of devices. So Sales Central is directly connected with Dynamics SL, which means that everything is in real time, just like I'd mentioned in Account Central. So you don't have to worry about things like customers' credit limits, pricing changes, inventory levels, and anything like that getting out of sync. It works on any popular browser, so you don't need terminal server to allow people to take sales orders out in the field. And as mentioned, it can work on any kind of device, so it's ideal for mobile application. We integrate this with many different payment processors, such as PayPal and the Pay Fabric that I showed you in Account Central. We can also integrate with MaxQ's Charge It, or EHCT's Auto Charge, that allows delayed settlement. So delayed settlement really is nothing more than I'm creating a sales order, I need to get an authorization on a card for the amount of the sales order, and then when shippers are printed, then we start going and settling against what was actually shipped. And we can explain more about that later on if you need to. And then we also integrate with Plumline's Avalara tax integration, as well as MaxQ's freight shopping. So I'm not going to go into a full demo of Sales Central, but I can do those one-on-one afterwards if you're interested. But these are a few of the screen interactions on a browser showing how it operates. So that was the screen, and right now what I'm doing is I'm doing freight shopping using MaxQ's freight shopping solution. I can also deal with payments, just like in Account Central, where I can go ahead and have cards stored, but not stored on our server, stored out in this PCI compliant solution, and be able to capture those credit cards. And like I mentioned, we also integrate with the Avalara tax using Plumline's Avalara tax integration. Okay, so this is now the next thing that I'm going to show, and I'm laughing because it sounds like a simple and silly solution, but printing and stuffing envelopes and mailing them is a time-consuming task. You're already paying for postage, and what we have is a way to get data directly from Dynamics SL and send it to a cloud-based printing and mail service so that you can minimize your touch points for sending printed communications. You don't have to worry about somebody standing over a printer and putting them in envelopes, getting the postage right, and all that kind of stuff. So this allows you to automate this labor-intensive task by triggering print and mail services immediately. And when I mean immediately, once an invoice is printed, or say something in your CRM system, like for a lead is generated, we'll automatically send that out one-off so that they can be immediately sent and shipped to your customer. It can also help you improve your receivable collection, as well as your sales and customer service communication. This can be done for any variety of things. I've mentioned invoices, but if you've got letters, checks, statements, postcards, or anything else, it makes it very simple. And we can go ahead and integrate it with almost anything. So obviously Dynamics SL, that's what we're here showing things about, but we can also do this out of Salesforce or Dynamics CRM or Office 365, or even a CSV file or Excel spreadsheet. You know, the real funny thing too is that Catalina and some of our other solutions are helping you eliminate paper, or so you know, you don't have to go ahead and have your customers deal with fax and order forms and all that. But in this solution, I guess we're really helping you create paper as well. And seriously, in real world, you have customers that still need printed invoices, and even printed and mailed marketing material still has its place. So I'm going to go ahead and switch real quick to a camera.
Brian, how do they price the printing stuff?
Well, you know, it really depends, and it depends on whether you're doing black and white, or whether you know, you need special paper or any of those types of things. So Kate's showing something here, but yeah, it all depends on really what that is. So if anybody else has questions about that, I can go ahead and talk to you about that and help price that out. So I'm going to now, I think Kate's tiny, I'm going to make her bigger, And so my lovely assistant Kate is showing you, this is an example of one. We had others that were sent to Florida and unfortunately are sitting there, but this one is an example of one. Can you open that? Okay. So, and this is again is just an example of how this could look, and it can be customized to look any way you'd really want. So it really is your kind of mail and that type of thing. So I'm going to switch back to this. And there we go. Okay, so now we're getting into something that I'm much more interested in than sending out printed materials. But integration doesn't just have to stop with these large systems like e-commerce systems and integrating with CRMs and things like that. But we can integrate with very, very small things. And I had mentioned earlier about IoT, or Internet of Things. And really, it's just a big buzzword today. But all it really is a lot of devices that are out there and processes communicating together, sending information that then needs to be routed, acted on, and reported on. And I'll be showing a demo right after this to be able to show how all this works. But Catalina has a set of tools that allows you to integrate all sorts of devices and processes with SL and other systems through our integration platform. We often use Microsoft Azure or Amazon's AWS to receive lots of tiny messages from all types of things and pass it through a rules engine that will allow you to then route the appropriate message to other things. We can even route it to social media so that you can communicate with your customers quickly and easily through common applications like Twitter, Facebook, email, SMS messages, and others. So example, you might be a building manager or a construction job manager, and some kind of overheating has happened in a building or something like that. You could easily post or automatically, we could go ahead and sense the temperature. If it hits a certain threshold, we could then go ahead and post that message on Twitter or a message board to let everybody know that there's a problem with air conditioning. So trying to bring all this to relevance. The other day I saw a commercial on TV for IBM Watson about an elevator repair guy showing up to repair an elevator in a building. The desk manager said that they don't have a problem, but here's the thing. There were sensors that their service company had that connected the elevator and deployed the service company before something major happened. That not only fixed a potential safety issue, but also saved money and provided better customer service. So this example really, and if you've listened to some of my other presentations, is almost word for word for an example that I used over a year ago in a presentation. So I'm not saying IBM is actually listening to me, but this is something that will be very powerful in the service sector. So what's our solution? Well, we can provide custom devices. We work with a brilliant device and hardware company that helps us do that, that will fit your needs and businesses so that you can best support what you need to monitor. How closely in real time you need to monitor it, and what systems need to be notified when an event occurs. So this includes all types of sensors, so depending on what you need to monitor. So say an HVAC company needs to monitor vibrations, sound, pitch, or temperature. And with sound, it's kind of interesting because we could even be able to capture that sound and send a MP3 file to your service system so that your service guy can listen to it before they even go out in the field. Or say waste management hazmat, needing to measure radiation, methane, and carbon monoxide. Or agriculture monitoring for monitoring moisture, CO2, and O2 levels. Construction and building management, monitoring flooding, temperature, weather, or even sending an SMS message to your work crews reminding them to bring a raincoat because it sensed rain on the job site, and all types of other things. Our solution is cloud-enabled, so it allows devices to communicate through gateways to the cloud and then be routed to the appropriate ERP, CRM, dispatch, service, helpdesk, or any other type of system and data storage. We've also built-in encryption that maintains integrity. We have low power options so that you can deploy devices that can work for an extended period of time without a power source. You can manage your security centrally. We have bidirectional communications, and that really means that messages can be sent from and to devices. So, you know, it's obvious on what would be sent from a device, say temperature, or vibrations, or whatever, but you could send information to the devices, so you could even control something out in the field, like rebooting something or recycling the power or something like that of say, an HVAC unit. We bridge locally and or disconnected systems via gateways, and all this really means is that we've got low power sensors and devices that communicate locally out in the site, and then they communicate to gateway devices, and then these gateway devices communicate messages to external systems as needed. So this allows you to drop a solution in at a site and not even rely on IT or networking out at the site. And we can support many different transport mechanisms, such as cellular, Wi-Fi, 3G, Sigfox, etc. And some of the industries that can take use of it, like HVAC, facilities, construction, service, asset monitoring, agriculture, energy, but who knows what else in the future. And this is another one of my funny slides. And don't laugh too much, but Catalina tools are very versatile, and not only are we able to monitor traditional things like HVAC units and elevators and things like that, but we can also monitor things that better the environment. And this is a site that we did for the National Park Service for monitoring bears for what we like to call the IOB, or Internet of Bears. So what we've got is the National Park Service has GPS collars that are sitting on the bears, and we go ahead and receive those messages from the bears, and we use Azure Event Hub and Stream jobs to route those messages to a data store. We then use Catalina's API technology to be able to give scientists an API to be able to slice and dice data, and then that same API is then being used for an educational outreach site to be able to display what's going on with the bears, along with statistics to educate the public. And this same platform is being used for multiple different wildlife tracking for sea otters, Santa Cruz pumas, and other things like that. And so I've got a few websites there. If you want to check them out, feel free. And those are all using Catalina Technologies tech. And so now we're going to go ahead and do an IoT demo. Now this is going to be an interesting demo just because this is really meant to be something that we show live, and yeah, it's just going to be interesting. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and show a few things, Kate, and then we'll go ahead and see what we can do. So first of all, what I'm going to do, hopefully, yeah, you can see it, is I'm going to pull up service call entry. So we're integrating with a couple of different things with this demonstration. Now, this can be integrated with anything. It doesn't even have to be Dynamics SL, but something like Service Max or Field Connect or anything like that. So we're going to be taking devices, getting a triggered event, and then creating a service call, as well as creating a support case. And in this case, we're going to use Salesforce.com, but it could be anything. It could be Dynamics CRM or Service Max or whatever. So just to show that we've got this right now is I've only got one service call in there. I just wanted to show this so that I can show that, okay, well, we only have one service call, so that when one gets created, we'll be good to go. And then I'm going into Salesforce, and I'm just going to go into my cases, and I only have one case in there. So what we'll do is we'll be able to see how all of that works in real time. So let me get things set up, and let me see if I can get Kate pushed over to big screen. Okay, so Kate's already showing some things. What that is one of the teeny-weeny little devices that use very little power and can be deployed out into the field. This is going to use a low-powered communication, and then it's going to communicate to what's in her other hand, which is a gateway. And then Jeff, you can show some of the other ones. There you go. So you can have a whole lot of these things deployed out in your customer site or on a job site or something like that. And these are all going to be communicating locally. And then the gateway, and why don't we go ahead and just plug that gateway in now. And let's see. Yeah, you got it. There you go. Kate's going to just plug the gateway in. The gateway right now, and this could be powered by solar or anything else like that. And then what that is that there's a cellular modem in there that communicates out to the real-time world, and you turn on the little device too. And so the little devices, there it goes, it's blinking. So these little devices are communicating to that gateway. The gateway wakes up when it's needed, and in this case, it's going to send things out every minute or so to deal with it. Now, when I say every minute or so, I'm going to go bring back this. Kate, you're still on camera, so there you go. So so we can see this is doing every minute or so, but depending on what your needs are, you may want to go ahead and have it either faster or slower. Like certain things like flooding or a circuit breaker's broke or something like that might need to happen faster, but other things like I don't know, temperature or things like that don't need to be doing that. We're also working on a project for a wildlife conservation for on the West Coast, where they're trying to repopulate sea bass population in the Pacific, and so they're using these bins that are not bins, but big kind of holding pens for baby little sea bass. And we need to go ahead and watch pH levels and O2 levels, because if you don't, you might end up coming in the next day with a whole lot of floating fish. And so this actually saves lives and money and everything else like that. So I see, I've got something that popped up while I was jibber-jabbering. And so what we can do now, and Kate, I think I can probably take you off, so if you want to relax, I'm just taking you off there. And so I'm just going to go into SL, and I am going to look up that service call, because what we did is from that that event, we automatically created a service call in SL. So we know what the device is or the equipment ID is. We know that, hey, we had a temperature overheating. We had rules that went ahead and assigned it to the appropriate person. All those types of things. And at the exact same time, what we did is also create a support case in our CRM system. Again, this could be Salesforce, Dynamic CRM, whatever you really want. So if I click, I've got a little customization here, I can click on that, and I can drill in and look at that service or that support case, so that I can go ahead and manage that. And like, it could be ServiceMax or Field Connect or whatever you've got, we can go ahead and deal with that. And so if I refresh this, which shows all my cases, I can see I've got my temperature alert there. So now that's great. We've gone ahead and we've created something that allows us to create a service call, and it creates a case or a case in your CRM system or support system. But let's go another step further, and let's go out in the field. So we've got a very strong partner, Systems in Hand, that has mobile application that we integrate with that will go ahead and bring this full circle. So now I'm out in the field and I'm on my device, and for the day I'm going to go ahead and synchronize everything down. And I can do that in the morning, or I can have it automatically do it every so-and-so, or whenever I need to do that. So then when I can go and look at my service calls, I can click into there, and I can see there's my service call, and it's assigned to me. So what I can then do is I can say, okay, I'm on site. And now I'm on site. So if I go back into SL, and bring up that service call. I've got the service call here. If I go off of it and back on it, I can see now I am on site. So what this allows us to do is not only automatically create a situation that we need to go ahead and monitor and deal with in Dynamics SL and our support system, but we can dispatch somebody. We can dispatch them right away, and they can go ahead and get these service calls in midstream, those types of things, so that they can go ahead and actually do their job. So back to the service call engine, I can go ahead and walk through this. Let's say I want to be able to add equipment or things like that to the situation. That's fine. We can certainly do that. Let me, oops. And I could go ahead and add parts to it if I wanted to and be able to deal with that. I can go ahead and add even time to it and be able to deal with that. And let's keep going. Expenses, if I have expenses, if I have notes, I could go ahead and also look at the equipment that failed. So I can drill into that and be able to look, and I can see, okay, well, it's this item here, this HVAC unit number 1. So I already know while I'm out in the field without having to do anything, and I'm disconnected too, which is great. If I'm in a situation where we don't have any cellular service, I synchronize before I went out in the field, I've got this. And let's say, oh, I need to go ahead and change the serial number because I'm looking at the unit and somebody marked it down wrong, or we didn't have that serial number, so we can go ahead and capture that as well. And we can just kind of move through this. We've got a checklist that tells you what you did and didn't do on the job so far, and you can see that I've done my equipment survey and inspection, looked in that, but I haven't done anything else. I haven't entered any time or anything like that, so I could then go back and deal with that if I wanted to. Or now I'm done the site, I could go ahead and put in a signature of the customer, add some additional notes, capture a camera. I don't have a camera on this computer, and I could go ahead and say, you know what, I'm done. And then once I'm done, I'm completed, and I go back into Dynamics SL. It was on site before, but if I go off and on it, now I'm completed. So what we've been able to do is show that full circle from an event that was captured that your customer probably didn't even know about, that you're now taking action on it before there's a real problem or before the customer can start complaining about it. So I think this is really, really powerful to be able to go and do these types of things. So that is my demo. Let me go to my next slide, and let's go. And hopefully we're not going too long. So all of this is brought to you by Catalina's common platform for integration. So our e-commerce platform, our online bill payment, our integration platform, the IoT integration, all of this stuff is because all these products utilize a common core platform that we've built around Dynamics SL. This platform uses standardized API technologies such as REST and SOAP, and we call this, well, the Catalina API for Dynamics SL, which is very, very imaginative, I know. So how did this platform come into existence? Well, we built this rich integration platform for our applications, but then customers started coming to us saying that they've got existing systems. They don't need our e-commerce platform. They've got their own. They've got other platforms or systems that are cloud or on-premise that they need to integrate with Dynamics SL, and the API that we've built is really the way to do this. Sure, we've done our share of custom web apps and mobile apps, and SL also has some nice web apps, but these are simple apps that are always going to be playing catch up with other robust systems that are out there. And here's a few that are listed here. What I like to say is don't web app, but web enable, because all of these incredible tools that are out there now that are handling, managing your customers like CRM systems, or employee management like time card entry and scheduling, that say Solomon Cloud has, and I'll show a slide of theirs a little bit later. E-commerce, third-party logistics, help desks, etc. What we provide is a way to utilize all these great systems and then be able to get data in and out of Dynamics SL appropriately. So the simple built-in SL web apps are great for simple tasks, but they require incredible customization and feature enrichment to even come close to approaching tools like Salesforce or Dynamic CRM, Zendesk, and others that already have very mature feature sets. They already have web and native mobile apps and have a strong support background and user base. So going web app either means customization or a hodgepodge of different applications to get what you want, but enabling with these super powerful, already in existence solutions that are out there allows SL to integrate with these and provides the features that your users and your customers need. So this is where our API for SL comes in. We have core integration solutions with many of the Dynamics SL modules, and then we have standard tool sets to be able to go and allow connectivity in all these different third-party systems. It enables SL to securely share data with these systems while maintaining business rule integrity. And this is just another slide that kind of brings it home, where we've got the Catalina API that kind of is in the center, and we have core integration with many of the SL modules, and then be able to go ahead and bring it all together. So, with CRM, forms processing, e-commerce, so forth and so on. I'm going to do a quick demo of our API. APIs are really tough to demo, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. Hopefully it won't be taking too long, but what I've got here is our documentation for our API, and this is what we call Swagger documentation. And what that is it's a way to have documentation, but then also be able to interact inside the documentation. So it's really kind of cool. So I'm just putting in some security information, but I can go ahead and view our APIs. Like I can see, okay, well, here's my customer maintenance. If I wanted to actually search for a customer inside my document, because I can see, okay, well, this is the data that I'm getting back. This is how I call it, all that great stuff. I can go ahead and do that. And look, it's actually connected to our Dynamics SL system. So it makes it really easy for you to be able to go ahead and do API development and integration. So let me go into project maintenance, because what I want to do is I want to search for a project. So I'm going to go into SL real quick, and I should have project maintenance in here. Let me search for a project. So here's one, the one that's on the top, special development project, C0 blah blah blah. So what I'm going to do is go back to my documentation, and I'm just going to plop it in and try it out. And boom, I've got that that project has come back in here. So I could probably find special development project sitting there. So it came back in real time. I can also go ahead and look what code is used to be able to go ahead and use this API, and I can pull up a this is called Postman, which is a way for me to integrate with APIs and test APIs. But I can import that code, paste it in, and run it. And boom, I've got that data sitting right then and there. Now, say I want to be able to update data. I can go ahead and use a patch. Now, usually you would, whoever's doing the client development on an API, or if you're using Scribe or some other type of ETL, you'd probably import this code and then tweak it the way you want. And I'm just using Postman because it's a simple way to go and do that. But what I want to do is go ahead and update
Brian,
something. So yeah.
Brian, just to point out, what you're showing right now is something that the developers would be using. The users aren't going to see this stuff right here. This is like back-end work for the developers.
Good point. Tim always gets me on nerding out, so I end up getting nerded out on API stuff. So hopefully there's some developers in here, but the ones that aren't developers, just know that what our API allows you to do is it allows you either to have programmers integrate with it or use an ETL or an extract a transform and load type thing. So something like Scribe, which would allow you to be able to go ahead and slurp data out of one system and push it into another after you've done some mapping. So let's say you've got a project management system that's external to Dynamics SL, or a quoting engine that you need to be able to get projects into SL once you get it approved in your quote. That's completely separate from Dynamics SL. Well, you can do that, and I'm doing an update of a project. So say you change the project name in your project management system. So I want to change the name of that special whatever project name to Project X, because I am kind of a nerd. And so I'm doing what's called a patch, which allows me to then update just the fields that I want to update. So it won't go ahead and override anything else. So all I want to do is change the project description. I'm just going to send that. And then when I go back into SL, I go off it and then back on it, and hopefully you can see that in the thing. It says Project X. So not only can you go ahead and just update, but you can create projects, create tasks, create sales orders, manage customers, all kinds of things using our API. So it just gives you the ability to be able to go ahead and interact and integrate with SL through common protocols. Okay, let me go back. Now, I've shown you some of the capabilities of our API for Dynamics SL to allow programmers to be able to capture data, but we could even make this easier with Quick Query. And a lot of the folks that are on recent versions of Dynamics SL probably know and love Quick Query, but our Quick Query toolkit sits on top of Quick Query. So with this, you can create your own API. And so what does that mean? Programmers may know this, but what it means is that you can go ahead and provide data to some outside source. So say a customer needs to download a price list into their AP system and don't have a lot of time to go ahead and tweak and do their own mapping and all that. They just need it in a special format. You can go ahead and use Quick Query to define what data you want output, and then use our Quick Query toolkit to make it securely available to your customer. No programming is needed. I'm going to show that hopefully in a quick demo. You can centralize your security, so it allows you to define which users will be able to access which pieces of data in there. Under the covers, it uses Quick Query, so you can create a Quick Query view and then use our tools that sit on top of that to do further filtering and giving secure data access. It doesn't just work with SL, but it can work with any data that you have in a SQL Server data source. And then we also have additional tools that can then automatically export and data map to other APIs without having to do a lot of work. So with Quick Query, it's great to be able to go ahead and bring out a CSV or an Excel, but then what? You've got to be able to go ahead and then slurp it into some other system. But what our tools allow you to do is not only get the data out of Quick Query in the format that you want, but then transform it and automatically send to something else. So an example, say you want to sell products on eBay. You could go ahead and create a Quick Query that will filter out products that maybe has a user field that's marked as eBay and has an inventory level at a certain level. We could then go ahead and the output of that can automatically be sent to eBay and then be able to go ahead and create eBay entries for people to be able to purchase your products on eBay. So now a Quick Query demo, and I'm hoping that this one's going to be a quick query demo, but what I'm going to do is pull up my Catalina Integrator toolkit, and I'm going to go into Quick Query. So what this allows me to do, and this is just our front end to Quick Query, that allows you to create all types of different front ends and APIs for other customers. So in this case, I'm using the vendor details Quick Query view. And if I wanted to, I could send that to, say, another system like a CRM system or whatever like that. I'm not going to get into that. Anybody that wants to talk advanced integration, feel free. Let us know, and we'll go ahead and talk to you. Then I can create filters. So say I want, I've got a field guy that needs to go ahead and know all vendors for Iowa. We could go ahead and create a filter for that and deal with that. We can also then give access to that by API keys. An API key, all that is a username and password. I'll show that in action in a bit. But like with this, I'm just going to go ahead and bring back all my vendors for Iowa. If I wanted to get rid of that filter, I could just delete the state and view my results, and it will then bring back everything. So I can see all this Ohio, Washington, Wisconsin, all that type of thing. So let me do this from scratch, and it'll be relatively quick. I'm going to create a new quick query, and let me make sure I got my notes on the other side so I remember what to do. So I'm going to create one, and I'm going to go, the idea is going to be I want to get all my invoices. I'm a customer. I've gone ahead and asked, I want to be able to load all my past due invoices or all my invoices that are over 30 days into my AP system so I can pay. And I've got a way to slurp that in. I just needed an API. So normally you would end up having to go ahead and do all kinds of crazy customization and processes and all that. But in this case, we can create on the fly an API that can be used over and over again by that customer. So I'm going to go and use an existing quick query for AR invoices and debits. I could, if the customer has an API of their own that we could push this to, I could certainly do that. But I'm not going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and start some filtering. So this is just sitting on top of quick query. I'm going to add, let's say I want to bring back customer ID equals CT0100. So this is the customer that has a specific need that they want to be able to grab this data from. Let's also go ahead and bring back my document type equals invoice. I only want AR documents of invoice type. And let me go ahead and add another one. Let me say that I need to bring back everything with a document balance of greater than 0. So I want things that I still owe money on. So I can go ahead and view that. And again, this is something that you would do for your customers. And then once you've got that built, then you can go and say, okay, here's how you're going to deal with it. So now I've got all of these listings back, but this is bringing back everything that has a balance. Maybe I only care about things that are older than 30 days. So let me add yet another filter, and let me go and do something which is, let's do this on due date, if I can find it in here. Oops. Due date. And let me put that to be less than or equal to. And I've put in something here where I'm taking the current date of today and I'm subtracting 30 days, and I'm going to say that's an eval. And we've got training classes that show you how to do this, but what this means is that you don't have to go and change this quick query every time you're going to go and use it. This will automatically know that at the time that we're running this, it's going to bring back everything that's older than 30 days. Let me view it. And now I only have 44 rows that are coming back. So really what this allows me to do is allows me to go ahead and create something that's very, very dynamic. And let me save this real quick. And the next thing I can do is make this now available to a user that's out there. So my customer, I need to go and create a special username and password. I've got one that's out there now, but let me create a new one. So let me go to Home and to my API key management, and let me create a brand new one. I just created a kind of a random string here, and let me do kind of a hard secret key, and let me go. I've already got something. It's auto-filling for me. I've obviously done this demo before, and let me save that API key. So when I go back to my saved quick query and go into here, I can then look at my API keys, and I can add. So say I wanted to go ahead and give this to this general testing just so I can test it. And let me say I want to go ahead and give it to this guy. So this is the customer. This is the username and password of the customer. I can go ahead and add that. So now what I've done is really created a security set of users that you'd want to give access to this specific query. So now, okay, now what? The customer wanted this code, And so what I can do is I can actually get the code and say, okay, I want this for customer CT0100, and I can then copy the code and then back to my little tool. And like Tim had mentioned, this is something that your customer would use as a developer, and I'm going to import that code in and run it. So now I'm the customer and I'm getting data and I'm getting it securely. You can see in the header, it's got my authorization, it's brought back data, it's bringing it back in this kind of name value pair way. That's one way to go ahead and do it, or we can bring it back in a more traditional way by turning off name value pairs and copying that and going back in and importing.
So Brian, basically this is enabling exposing quick query securely to anybody you want to any outside source.
Exactly. So yeah, you don't want to give access to your customers or your vendors or even your users or your internal employees. You don't want to give them access to Dynamics SL. Why do that? Why get why have to have a seat of Dynamics SL just to go ahead and pull data? So like Tim mentioned, this enables those folks to be able to access your data securely without having to go ahead and actually log into Dynamics SL. And so there's my data there.
And you defining exactly what they can get back.
Exactly, yeah. I've gone ahead and built this in a way, this query, so that I can define what that username can go ahead and have access. So now you say, okay, well, this guy is no longer trustworthy. I want to go ahead and get rid of him. I can go ahead and remove his API key from that, so no longer does that username and password work, and all I had to do is click a button. And then if I try, if I'm the customer or whoever trying to go ahead and rerun it, I can then look at it, and now I'm unauthorized. I can't go ahead and access that data anymore. So it really does give you the power to make this data available to your users quickly and easily. Okay, so that's quick query. I think that's the end of our demos, but we're going to go through some of the other things really quick. And we do have an integration with T-Sheets. So if you are a T-Sheet user or planning to be a T-Sheet user, we can integrate with that. If you're going to use T-Sheets or are using them, you know what the benefit of T-Sheets are. It is a time and expense management system. But we go ahead and basically what our scoop is that we can synchronize projects and tasks, employees, time card entries between Dynamics SL and T-Sheets. Now, I talked a lot about our API and what we've done and how we've done integration, but our API for Dynamics SL is a platform that other software developers are using to integrate their solutions to Dynamics SL, and these are just a few of them here. If there's ISVs in the audience, or you've got a product or need that you may want to go ahead and market, let me know, and we can work with you to get you signed up as an ISV integrator so that you can start using these tools to be able to integrate your solution to Dynamics SL. Just a few of our ISVs that we've got. PaperSave, they're a document management company and electronic workflow. They're using our API to integrate, I believe, with AP and some other things. MetaViewer is another one that's also integrating their solution with Dynamics SL through our API. Brittenford, they have a Concur integration that integrates and extends workflow between Dynamics SL and Concur. Retriever Communications, they're a mobile service application company that has that we can integrate to SL through our API. And Solomon Cloud Solutions, I mentioned them earlier. They have an SL integration with Salesforce that's using our API, and they're also bringing out their Beyond T&E solution that's going to be integrating with Dynamics SL so that you can use their powerful project management tools to be able to go ahead and then get data in and out from Dynamics SL. So that's really the presentation. If there are any questions, Tim, if you see any questions, feel free to go ahead and bring them across.
None that I haven't been able to handle already.
What? Okay, you've
None
already
that I
answered
haven't
a bunch of them.
Elaborate on.
Okay, great. So if anybody does have any questions, feel free to plug them into the question section of the site. We did record this, so I will be putting this up on YouTube once we get the recording back from GoToMeeting. And just to go ahead and wrap everything up, what are we? We've got web-based e-commerce, online bill payment, and order management solutions. We have an API that's a framework that allows you to integrate Dynamics SL with external systems. Don't web app, but you can web enable. So meaning, simple web apps are great for simple things, but you can use these huge, robust systems that have strong support, like some from Salesforce or Dynamics CRM or ServiceMax or whatever. And they can be enabled into SL so that you're using best of breed at the time that you need it. So SL is great for what it does, and a lot of these CRM and Helpdesk systems and time and entry and all the time and expense and all these other things are better at doing what they do instead of trying to cobbling it together with a simple app. And our integration tools allow you to integrate with IoT or Internet of Things, and we are a platform for developers and ISVs. Catalina Technology, all we are is a development company. I do these sales things just because nobody else will do them. So that's why I end up getting a hoarse voice this time every year because of the SL User Group Conference. So I'd like to thank everybody for this. You can see additional information here. Please feel free to contact us if you've got any questions, and thanks a lot.